Eagles Entertainment.
Welcome, Eagles everywhere, to the Eagles Insider Podcast presented by Lincoln Financial Group. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro, and it's our Tailgate Edition on this Friday as we await the home opener at Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles looking for their first victory of the season as the visiting Los Angeles Rams come in at 1-0, their win on Sunday night over the Dallas Cowboys. We have a great podcast for you to get you ready for some Eagles football this weekend. Our Eagles fans who have cool jobs, we're going to go into the music industry and visit with a Drexel University graduate who's gone out to Hollywood and made it big. Howard Benson, great story, great fan. You're going to want to hear that, absolutely. Chris Long, former Eagle. Well, he was here in 2017, 2018. Won the Super Bowl in 2017, won the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, the NFL awarding that. That's the highest award you can get off the field. He visits as our alumni of the week. And let's see, Jim Cramer, who's been in the news this week. Jim Cramer's here to riff. If you are an Eagles fan who is not believing in this team, Jim Cramer has a message for you. And Doug Pederson will talk just a little bit about a certain defensive lineman on the Rams who is going to be a handful on Sunday. The good news for the Eagles is that Lane Johnson, right tackle, is on track to make his debut. Running back Miles Sanders also on track to play on Sunday. Derek Barnett making the same strides in practice during the week. Very hopeful that he will be back in the lineup on Sunday as well. Let's begin with the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, who has had a tough week. After a 3-turnover performance last Sunday against Washington, Carson Wentz is looking to bounce back. Welcome, everyone, our weekly one-on-one with quarterback Carson Wentz. Carson, how are you late in the week here? So much of this game is about recovery, physical recovery. I want you to tell me, how do you recover physically from the first football game you played since last January? There's got to be some added soreness.
Yeah, I think week one there's always extra soreness. You just haven't been hit in, 6, 7, 8 months, and so a little sore, but here we are later in the week, and I'm already feeling pretty good. Recovery's a priority for me, and I take care of my body through, massages, getting in the pool, doing workouts, all those things is really important to me, especially as I've gotten older in my career and found different strategies to get healthy and stay healthy. So this late in the week, I'm feeling good. I'm thankful for that.
That's good to hear. Take us inside the locker room, Carson. After a tough week one opening loss, what's it been like this week here at the NovaCare Complex in the locker room?
Yeah, no doubt guys are frustrated after the game. We kind of let that one get away from us and kind of beat ourselves. But guys are still positive. Guys are positive, excited. We know what we can do. We know we're capable of doing. We showed it, for almost the first half, not quite, of the last game. So, we just got to stay together, rally together, and we'll be just fine.
Do you feel momentum on the football field? It seemed like it was such a stark difference, and we've seen it go the other way as well. Is it as apparent when you're playing as it is when it feels like it when you're watching it?
Yeah, momentum's a real thing. It's a real thing, and I think it feels different when there's fans. Don't get me wrong, the momentum, especially when you're at home, you feel it and feed off it a little bit differently, but just within a rhythm of a game, things happen like that, and we had great momentum, and then we lost it, and we couldn't find it back, and so it's a real thing. But we got to be positive and just find ways to get out of a rut when we find ourselves in one like we were last game.
Carson, what's it been like on the practice field? Have you seen the energy, the giddy up from everybody that you want to see?
Absolutely. That's one thing I've always loved about being here is the guys are always bouncing back. Even the year, we didn't make the playoffs or we were officially out of the playoffs. When guys come into the building, they're ready to work. And so we've had a lot of resiliency over the years and different things, different circumstances, and guys always come in ready to work. And I've seen that this week no different than ever.
Carson, I guess this is one the fans want to hear. Is the Eagles offense the real offense, the one that's went up 17-0 early, or the one that struggled after that? What's your belief about this offense?
Yeah, I 100% believe we're that team that came out and started fast. We had a couple negative plays. I got to protect the football. We got to communicate and be better. But I truly believe we have the ability to be explosive, to play fast, to put up points in a hurry. But we just got to execute. We got to execute, take care of the football, and we'll be just fine.
The LA Rams come to town, Carson. You've studied them all week. What do they look like on defense?
Yeah, they're a good defense. They disguise everything really well. Obviously, they got, Aaron Donald, which you got to always be aware where he is on the field. They got, very talented corner in Jalen Ramsey and a lot of other guys that do a great job. And so we just got to do our thing, play fast, not overthink the game, and just, they got a new DC, so we only have one game to study him. So for us, it's just do what we do, play fast, and execute what we do.
Let's dig into those two names. First, Aaron Donald. What makes him such a great player, and what has worked against him when you've watched him through the years?
Yeah, he's just unique. That's the word that comes to my mind is unique. He's really dominant inside, and it's hard to say there's other guys in the league like him. We got one on our team in Fletcher, but Aaron Donald's just extremely unique, and the way he can really disrupt a game if you let him. So I feel extremely confident in our offensive line, our ability to get it done. But he's just a guy we got to be aware of where he's at all times.
It's interesting. They have Aaron Donald. We have Fletcher Cox. They have Jalen Ramsey. We have Big Play Slay. Let's talk about Jalen Ramsey. What kind of cornerback is he? Does he take risks? What makes him stand out?
Yeah, he's a great corner. I've had a lot of respect for him ever since, we came into the league together at the same time. And, he's a physical corner. He plays fast, plays hard. He's willing to put his nose in there and make tackles and make some plays. And so, same thing as Aaron. You got to just always know where he's at, be smart, take your chances when they're there. But a lot of respect for him. But I've always said it. We respect players, but we don't fear them. So it's going to be a fun matchup Sunday. It is the home opener on Sunday, Carson. No fans. Is there a way to create a home field advantage? We don't have to fly across the country, so I know we have that, quote, home field advantage. But I've always loved playing at the link. The fans, even when we're getting booed, there's just something special about playing at home. And so not having the fans there will 100% be weird. We'll be different. We'll be awkward at times. But, at the end of the day, it's still football, and we're excited for it. It's week 2. You're 0-1. The division is wide open. You know how the fans are in Philadelphia. The earth is ending here. How big a game is this, Carson? I know it's early, but how big do you feel this game is? It's a big game, but listen, the sky isn't falling. We're confident. We're a confident bunch. A resilient bunch, but we're excited for this one, and, we're not going to make it anything bigger than it needs to be. Our goal is to go 1-0 this week, and we got a tall task with the Rams coming in. Carson Wentz, thanks so much. Good luck Sunday against the Rams. Appreciate it, Dave. And for Wentz to have a big game and his offense to have a big game, the Eagles must contain Aaron Donald, a 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He's been to 6 Pro Bowls. He's a 5-time All-Pro. And with apologies to Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald is regarded as the best defensive lineman in the game. He disrupts offenses. We saw it Sunday night when he literally picked up running back Ezekiel Elliott and threw him into the lap of Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott, among other things. Had a bunch of quarterback hits. He had 4 hurries. The guy just disrupts games. Now, the Eagles have seen him in the past. They've done a good job with him in the past. Here's Doug Pederson talking about the challenge of playing Aaron Donald.
Well, obviously Aaron Donald's a great player, tremendous player. And, there's not many offensive lines out there that really kind of slow this guy down. He just he goes from snap to whistle. He's 100 miles an hour, and and that's tough for us. It's about understanding where he aligns up, and he does move. It's a different scheme. It's not the same Wade Phillips scheme. It's a different scheme. So they move him around the D line just a little bit more. So it's going to be imperative that we understand where he's at, and communication is of the utmost, obviously, and it starts with Kelsey and echoes along the offensive line. So we just have to be aware of where he's at.
All right, we're going to have Chris Long here in just a little bit, but first I want to get to this really cool segment. We love this segment. If you have any suggestions, please get them to me. Eagles fans with cool jobs. Howard Benson, music producer extraordinaire, is our guest this week. And Howard, you have a very cool job. Can you kind of explain to people what your job is? I know that I call you the music man, but I don't think that gives you enough credit.
My job is essentially, unlike if you were to sort of look at a movie and say the director of the movie controls the entire movie. In the music business, the producer is equivalent to the movie director. The word producer in the film business means the money guy. the guy who puts up the money, puts together the team, and then hires the director. In our business, that part is taken up by the record company. So the producer in the music business is essentially the film director. So if you use the analogy, my job is I get hired by the artist, not by the record company. The record company approves the hire, and they fund the music, but the artist basically makes the decision. So the artist will go, okay, we have to make now we used to make albums, and we used to make EPs and things like that, but right now it's a lot different how we approach this. We make a collection of songs, and the collection of songs basically becomes the album at some point. So, like, in other words, we'll put out like song. Okay, now we'll put out the album. It used to be that you released one song and then you dropped an album, but now it's not like that anymore, because with streaming, it's a lot more, advantageous for us to not have to work an entire album. We just work the best songs we can, drive up the social media numbers, and then release the record. So it's kind of a very different business than it even was 5 years ago. I mean, my job as a producer is still to be the music guy and to get the best songs and the best performances and all that stuff. But it's also to think more about who's going to be playing on the record, or who we're going to partner up with, or who's going to be like a guest artist based on a lot of the social media numbers that we look at. So it's a whole, I mean, it's really like if I was a producer coming in now and I only knew what I knew in 2005, there's no way I could survive. You absolutely have to study your craft still, which I do. So
Howard, how'd you get into? I know you. I know the story, but for those Eagles fans who we will get into your Eagles love in just a bit, how'd you get into the business and kind of the artists that you've worked with? And I mean the Grammy Awards. Can you just brag about yourself for a few minutes?
Yeah, I'm not a good bragger, but I actually went to Drexel, and I came out here and had a job. I actually got my degree in materials engineer from Drexel. And I got into the aerospace business right out of college, and I worked at a company called Garrett, which is now part of Allied Signal. And I worked on leading-edge slat actuation systems and turbine blades and turbofans and all kinds of stuff back in the middle 1980s, which is kind of what most of the business was in aerospace. Was the new 767 and the new 757. I worked on the space shuttle. So I was pretty good. I did this for 4 years. I was a pretty good engineer, actually. I kind of enjoyed it. But in Philadelphia, I was in bands my whole life. So I played down the shore in Wildwood and played in Avalon. I played at Phil's Bongo Room in Avalon for summer. I played in a lot of disco bands. I played in fraternity bands. So I was always a musician. I always wanted to be in the music business. But, when you're from Philadelphia, your exposure to the real music business is essentially zero. So I had no idea how to get into it. I didn't know anybody. And so when I graduated college, I thought, well, I'll come to California because not only can I get an engineering job, but I could get exposed to the music business and maybe, take a shot at it. So that kind of, my whole band kind of followed me out here from Philadelphia. We were like just a local band. So, they came out here and we played a lot of shows and blah, blah, blah. And then after 4 years being an engineer, I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to take a shot at this. And a lot of it was because a few of the local bands had heard my studio stuff I was doing, and they thought, wow, this band really sucks, but the production's great. The guy whoever's doing the producing is a really good producer, and I didn't even know what the word producer was. I just knew that I was the guy in charge in the studio. That's all I knew. So I remember telling my parents, after paying for the entire Drexel, education, I'm going to stop doing that and become a music producer. They were like, what's a music producer? I said, I actually really don't know yet, but I'm going to try it. So, it was a bit of a Hail Mary. I mean, it was sort of what you could say 4th and 23 or something to Freddie Mitchell.
4th and 26. 4th and 26. Right.
So, so that's what it was. And so I kind of I quit and I started doing demos. And, in Hollywood, a lot of this is just pounding the pavement and working. And the thing that I was lucky about is having the Drexel degree taught me how to think in a logical way and to think logically and to think as like an engineer. but I really had to learn how to think like an artist so I could think with my heart as opposed to just with my head. So all these things come together in your experience. I kind of made a ton of demos. I worked with a lot of bands. Nothing happened. And finally, I kind of started getting a little bit more success. But then I think in 1999, I discovered a band called POD, which was signed to Atlantic Records. And I produced that band, and that was my first gold record. And then the year after that, I produced Satellite, which was a triple platinum record. And then I ended up doing, once I started having hits, which was literally 13 years after I quit my job. So it was not like I didn't pay my dues. I definitely paid my dues. I went through the Randall Cunningham era with no hits. I went through the, Ray Rhodes era with no hits. I remember all that. And I remember when Andy Reid came to the Eagles, it was in 1999. And I remember thinking how him and McNabb, it was almost like in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, wow, I really like these guys are starting to succeed and I'm starting to succeed. And, your mind plays games with you like that a little bit. So it was cool to watch it happen. And my career was starting to happen at the same time, So, but I actually went out and after those records, I got a Hoobastank record and produced The Reason, which is still the biggest song I've ever produced, which was massive. That single. And then I produced the All American Rejects and Kelly Clarkson. Then I did all 3 Daughtry records. Those are the biggest albums I ever produced. Then I did Skillet, then I did Theory of a Dead Man, and oh my God, just like one after the other. Rascal Flatts, Hailstorm. I've sold about 45 million albums.
Wow.
But up until 1999, I sold 0 albums. So I kind of knew how the Eagles felt at the time because I kept putting up zeros all the time, and I kept thinking, what is wrong with my production, And really what was wrong with it is I just had not picked the right artist. Like, it was almost like I was so confident in my own self that I neglected to realize that you can only, in our business, you could say you can only polish a turd so much, right? You still have to have a great artist. So once I started getting good artists and I having hits with them, more and more artists became better and better because you're getting better artists because you're having hits. So your level of play is higher, So it's kind of like when you're a winning team, you get better players, right? Because people want to be on your team. So that's kind of what happened with me. And then, it's been great since then. And I was nominated for a Grammy twice for Producer of the Year. I won for Hailstorm Best Metal Performance for one of their songs. And then I won for Kelly Clarkson Best Vocal Performance for one of her records. We won for, I've won 5 Dove Awards. I've been nominated for a lot of Grammys. I've been, I just got my doctorate from Drexel 2 years ago. So Drexel brought me in and they gave me an honorary doctorate degree.
Nice.
My wife and I financed the studio there. We built a studio at Drexel University, the new recording studio. I have 2, endowments there.
Awesome.
And I give back a lot to the city, to Drexel and to, and I'm still a homer, like I have Eagles stuff all over the place. I'm looking at the LXII, the LII Super Bowl champion thing I got up on the wall. The only thing in front of it is the Kobe Bryant number 33 Lower Merion shirt that I have.
Yep.
And did I tell you about this, Dave? This is a crazy story. I am riding. Okay, I grew up in Lower Merion in Wynwood, literally a block from the Bryants. Their house was a block from my parents' house. So we always knew they were there, and the Bryants lived there, and it was Joe Bryant, Joey B. Bryant, whatever his name was, and he had a kid, and my brother would play at the JCC, and it was this kid shooting hoops all the time, And so when I left Philadelphia, I became a huge Lakers fan, even though I love Philly sports, but because Kobe played on the Lakers, I had to be a Lakers fan. He just was a Lower Merion guy, So I, followed them and everything like that. So about in January, my friend and I are doing a big, long bike ride. We're coming back. It's a cloudy day. And we see some helicopters in the hills above our house, in my neighborhood, right? This big yellow helicopter. And my friend says, we must have lost, one of the bike riders must have crashed. And we got home, and my daughter calls me. She goes, Dad, you're not going to believe this. Kobe crashed like literally a quarter mile from our neighborhood. That's where he crashed, in Calabasas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the weird thing was reading it, and it says, born Wynwood, died Calabasas. And I was just reading it, going, oh my God, it's so strange. We didn't go out to see the crash site, but with the following week, we drove our bikes down to the road where we could see it. I was out that day cycling, and I can tell you it was cloudy. I don't know what that guy was trying to do.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see the top of anything. So, yeah, that was a strange moment.
Yeah, really one that ignited the worst year ever, 2020, the lost year. Howard, I wonder.
Lost year.
Yeah, no doubt. Howard, I wonder, and it's. I know the answers, obviously. And by the way, I'm going to credit Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb with turning around your professional fortunes.
You could tell them that.
Yeah, I will. What have the Eagles meant to you in your life?
I think this is a common thing that most people would relate to, but all my friends on Sunday, I still connect with my high school and college friends, and, it's a way for me to stay in touch with everybody. But more than that, I think my dad got season tickets before Franklin Field. I was Shibe Park, maybe, was the stadium before Franklin Field.
Yes.
I forget. But, yeah, so he had him in the late 40s, and then he went to Franklin Field. And the first thing I can remember was going to a Pittsburgh Steelers game on a frighteningly cold December day at Franklin Field and sitting on like the -5 yard line at the end of the stadium with the open end of the stadium. There was two ends, the open end, and how cold we were. And I remember drinking little hot chocolate out of a little can. They used to serve that there at Franklin Field. And so I used to, we had season tickets. Then when we went to the vet, the same kind of rows of people ended up in the same rows that we had. I think we were moved up to the 35-yard line or the 30-yard line. But the same people we saw there were sitting with us at Franklin Field are now sitting with us at the vet. So I think they just kind of moved people together, which was really smart, actually, because you got to know those people. And then when they opened up Lincoln Financial, we had seats there. So I think we've been sitting with the same people, honestly. The Schnalls, us, we have now, brother-in-law, we have my niece got married, and that whole family's now got the seats. So I think we still have 4 to 6 seats in a row. And, my dad passed away in 2012. We bought 4 cutouts, and we're going to put them up in the seats for him.
Love that.
So we decided to do 4 of the same picture so we could pick them out on TV.
I love that. It really means the Eagles mean family tradition and family heritage, and like that's what's so beautiful about it. Win or lose, it's just I hear these stories a lot and I love them.
Well, I got confused on Sunday because my daughter comes in and my daughter goes, "Dad, how come you're not getting up and saying hi to me?" And I said, "Well, they're winning 17-0. I'm not moving, right? I'm staying where I'm planted on this sofa." And then it all went horribly wrong. So I was just looking at the sofa going, what did I do wrong? I did all the football guys. I respected the football gods, I didn't move. All this crazy shit goes through your head.
Yeah. But I like the fact that you tried to accept responsibility for it, as every great Eagles fan should do.
But the Super Bowl day was, what a great day that was.
How did you celebrate that? How did you enjoy that experience? What was the experience?
The experience was almost otherworldly. We decorated the whole place in Eagles stuff. All the jerseys I've collected throughout the years, all the way back to. I actually have a Norm Snead jersey, and I wear that to Eagles games when I go back to the to Lincoln Financial. I'll wear the Snead jersey just to see how many people know who he is. And every so often somebody will go, "Snead," or they'll say that was a terrible trade. Of course, they traded him for Sonny. They traded Sonny Jefferson for him. So you can always tell the old timers when they say shit like that to you, So, but yeah, we were sitting there. We were watching the game. I remember thinking, and when they won, nobody could believe it for about. It had to be 20 seconds. Like we were just looking at each other, going, "Did that just happen?" And it was pandemonium in our house. It was amazing. And it was great to watch the reactions of other people like Cramer online and people like that. It was awesome, So, and it's true Rocky story with Foles being the quarterback. And, you couldn't write more of a strange script for that year.
Okay, so Howard, here we go. Finally, I want from 2020, as a fan, not being able to come back for the games. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, thankfully, you have DirecTV's NFL Sunday Ticket, which I watch. Really, that's kind of how we all watch, and my family comes together at my house to watch. I don't really, it's look. I'm just glad they're having the games. Like I'm willing to take that. Like I didn't even think that was going to happen. But I think the NFL did a tremendous job learning from, unfortunately, Major League Baseball, who had to go through some growing pains to kind of learn about it. But I think they've done a great job. I mean, a lot of sports have figured this out. Like I watch a lot of Formula One racing and the Tour de France I'm watching every day, and nobody's got COVID on any of those things. Actually, it was one Formula One racer that did. But mostly it's been pretty good, so I don't know. What are you going to do, right? I mean, we have to accept it the way it is, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but
Eagles on Sunday play the Rams. I don't know. You gonna have some Rams fans over. What's the scene going to be for you?
Oh my God! Let me tell you something. The last 3 years, they played the Rams in LA twice or three times, I think. We've gone to these games, had tailgates. Drexel even had one out here, and there's more Eagles fans in the stands by far. We went to the Chargers game out here in that little stadium they played at for a while. It was overwhelmingly Eagles fans. Like I remember Wentz, he came down. He was in the 5-yard line. It took him like 4 tries to get a touchdown. But he looked into the stands, and we were all there. The whole thing was a sea of green. He looked at and pointed at us. And I remember thinking that is so cool. Like he knew we were all there.
I love it.
So that was the year. I think that was the year we won. I'm not sure if that was the year we won. It might have been.
Yeah, 2017 because that's the game he got hurt.
That's the year he got hurt, and I was at the game when he got hurt. I was
Yeah.
at the Rams game, and I remember we won that game. Foles came in and won the game, and I remember walking out of the stadium going, "We're happy we won, but we just lost the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
And the fact that Foles was legitimately rocky that year. I mean, you couldn't. What else? Who else can you compare him to? I mean. I think he played probably the best game a quarterback could ever play in that Super Bowl.
That's why you never count it out, man. You never. It can change in an instant.
I think the Eagles are actually better than most people think this year. I actually think they're pretty good. I think they just have to look. We're playing preseason games right now, kind of, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. I mean, unfortunately, they count, but I think Doug. I actually like Doug as a coach. I think he's shown over the last 2 years with a lot of adversity that somehow he's able to pull it out. He ends up in the playoffs. So, all I can say is it's not like he's not in the playoffs, So, I don't know. Maybe I'm myopic.
No, I think everybody. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Doug. I think Doug's a great coach.
But my Eagles friends from Philly are so different than me. When they lost this weekend, one of my friends goes, "I have to get off and listen to the radio and listen to them destroy." Like they're so happy with the sad. Like it's almost like the losing becomes like fun. I don't know. I can't put it into words, but every time I drive back to Philly and I put on the radio, like we don't have talk radio like that here at all. Like there's nobody talking about the Dodgers 24/7 or the Rams 24/7. But you go to Philly during the Eagles season and you literally are listening to 24/7 Eagles talk on, and I listen to it on the radio. I stream the Fanatic here at WIP. It's just amazing how much people turn on this team when they play a bad game. I don't know. It's been like that forever, though.
We like to call it passion.
It's passion. It's funny. I find the fans really funny. They're ready to literally throw everybody off the boat right away.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey Howard, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, man.
Don't you think it would be fun to have a tailgate with Chris Long? I mean, great conversationalist. Clearly has the fashion. We saw the fur coat at the Parade of Champions. I think we saw him pound beers there as well. I think everybody was pounding beers. It seems so long ago, but it will never leave our memories. The Super Bowl victory and the parade that followed. Chris Long is our alumni of the week, and we had a great conversation a few days ago. Here he is, one-on-one with former Eagles defensive end Chris Long. Welcome, Eagles fans. I'm Insider Dave Spadaro. Time for our Microsoft Eagles alumni of the week interview, and I'm really glad to be talking to this gentleman because he played here for 2 years, but what a memorable 2 years and what an impact he made on and off the field. Welcome back, former Eagles defensive end Chris Long. How are you, sir?
What's up, brother? I'm really good, man. That's a familiar backdrop. It's good to be talking to you.
You're looking good. How much do you weigh now? You look like you're about 180 pounds.
No, I'm like 250, 251 some days, but some days I'm like 248. I don't have to eat like a maniac anymore.
That's great. I wonder, let's start with what you're doing now. I know that you've gotten into the podcast world and you're doing some broadcasting, and I know the Chris Long Foundation, I think I read that you're up to 350,000 people that you've been able to provide drinkable water to. Are these the main pieces of life that's occupying your time these days?
Well, number one's always family, right? You know, I got 2 little boys now, and Luke, my youngest, who's a year and a half, was born the day after our last Giants game that year in 2018. So, Waylon got to see all the Super Bowl celebrations and the confetti and all that stuff, and those guys are taking up all my time. But I do work very hard. You know, I've got the podcast going, Greenlight Pod, and we go Mondays and Fridays during the season. I've got a number of things going on in that direction. But the foundation's big. As you mentioned, Dave, it's like we're up to 350,000 plus people served. We work primarily in East Africa and Tanzania and Kenya, bringing clean water to people who very much need it. But we've also launched here domestically, and we started Hometown H2O, and we're servicing people in rural areas, and we're helping in schools. And we just entered a partnership on Navajo Nation with Dig Deep to bring one of the hardest hit communities in the country clean water in a really an emergency situation with COVID.
With everything that's happening, Chris, can you put into context just how significant the challenge is for drinkable clean water in this world?
Yeah, it's incredibly important right now, especially on Navajo Nation, where we've talked about, I mean, indigenous people have like 17 times likely the likelihood to not have access to clean water, which is nuts to me. I can't even say it. It's just, so it's, imagine right now not being able to wash your hands, not having a lot of these households, many of these households don't have running water at all. Forget drinkable water. So you're trying to stay clean, you're trying to stay safe. And we all know that combination can be really deadly in a place like that without great healthcare either.
Chris, the media side of things, I wondered, now that you're on the other side, what is the dynamic like? Do you have a different perspective on player and media versus now former player and those who are still playing and coaching?
Well, I've always tried to respect the media, and if they give us respect as players, I would give it back. And I think most people who dealt with me in locker rooms knew that. And I don't care if you played or not. Some of the biggest fakers played, and some of the best media members didn't play it down. So really, I've tried to approach it like my playing career doesn't entitle me anything. I need to do the homework. I need to do the work. I need people to respect, what I'm doing. But I think the tightrope is that I have so many friends in the NFL, and I still talk to guys on the Eagles. I still talk to guys around the league that I'm boys with, and that complicates things because I think I would hope most friends know that when I hit them up to check on them, I'm not trying to get a take or get some information. If I ever want information, I say, hey, I'm asking you so I can be educated on this, and I might use this. Are you cool with it? And I think the criticism and accountability is an interesting part. Players run on criticism, and I've never met a player that liked to be criticized. But I learned through being one of those best players on a bad team for 8 years in St. Louis, you're going to get criticized. So that accountability goes a long way, and I've tried to recognize that in that relationship. So the media has a job too, especially the beat writers. So many great ones I made friends with in Philly. They got something to do every day, and it's a hard job. So as long as they do things honestly, players respect them, and I've tried to take that same approach as a media member.
2017 and 2018, 2 years in Philadelphia. I don't know if that feels, Chris, to you like a long time ago or just yesterday. What are your kind of reflections on the experience of being a Philadelphia Eagle and playing in this city?
I mean, number one, it's kind of bittersweet for me because I wish I had played there a long time. And, you don't get do-overs in your career. And certainly I had a lot of things that I look back on and I'm kind of bummed about because there was so much losing early on in my career during my prime and that sort of thing. But to be, being a champion in Philly, I feel like there'll always be magic when we walk around that city. And that feels good. Obviously I fell in love with the city and I was a little bit of a lost soul, my team had moved, I'd been cut, I'd been in New England. They accepted me. And, Philly fans will never leave my being, and I won't ever stop having a presence there. But no matter how many championships y'all win, and you will win more, we're the first, and that feels good. And I always look at old guys when I see on a Monday night game and they bring back a championship team. Me and Nate Gary are going to be out there, at 73 and 61 because he's so damn young. A guy like We're just going to be smiling at midfield with our baggy jerseys on, and people are going to. I got goosebumps thinking about it. That's what the bond of being a champion is, and we'll always be kind of like ghosts in that city, which is pretty cool.
How is Philadelphia as a sports city? How would you describe it?
I mean, it's the Flyers mascot. It's gritty. I mean, like it's blue collar, and what I loved about it was you get what you give. And like late in my career, I knew kind of what it was. I was 33, 34 years old. I wasn't a star on my team anymore, and I was just forced to accept a role. And that can be tough because you know what you're capable of and you're a competitor. But the fans make it easy in Philly because they say, like, if you go out here and you empty the tank every Sunday and you just play with reckless abandon and emotion, we're going to love you. And that simplified things for me. And also Philly fans are smart. They're respectful. Like when they see you at a restaurant, they just have a nice way about them, which some people outside Philly might laugh about, but it's true. And I also love the fact that in Philly sports, all those arenas are right there. And I know that might change soon with Wells Fargo, but what a cool vibe to drive into South Philly. The people that you love, that you're playing for, are right there. You're in the middle of those neighborhoods.
Have you ever gone back and watched the Super Bowl win over New England or the Parade of Champions?
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely have watched the Parade of Champions because this would be my first recollection of it. Is going back and watching. But with the Super Bowl, you know, like it's such a blur. I've scanned it. Sometimes I think some memories are best in your mind's eye, and I've scanned it. There's some plays I want back. Like I could have got the ball out when they were backed up at the end and damn near got the ball, almost sacked Tom. So like there were some regrets at the end, but I just rather like leave that one in my mind. And it's just so special there. And you don't remember everything. It's such a blur. That whole week was such a blur, but it was special.
Was I the only sober one at the Parade of Champions? I mean, I didn't even know. They were throwing beers, and I thought they were like throwing beers at us, not to us. I don't know.
I'm sorry
to
hear that. They were definitely hoping you would have a beer.
I could have had a really good time. Hey, listen, the players are very much involved in the social justice movement. You know, they're very invested in it. I wonder your perspective on that and kind of how you judge whether that has an impact and how society will, take to it and will there be a difference made?
Well, I think you hope there is a difference made. I think, and pardon me for the exhaustive answer here, but this is something that a few of us have been talking about for 5+ years, and some guys predating Cap. And what Cap did is he kicked the door down in pop culture to talk about it. Sports are a really big conduit for conversation, and I think, allowing this climate to soften, to have these conversations was something that those guys who were pioneers did 4 or 5 years ago. And even before that, I was in St. Louis with those guys. They ran up out of the tunnel with their hands up, and they got death threats and that sort of thing in the wake of Mike Brown. And so people weren't ready to have that conversation in St. Louis when that happened. They were ready when Cap took a knee. And Malcolm, who was a terrific activist and somebody who's given so much to Philly, was the perfect guy to kind of, be one of the guys protesting, or not. I don't even want to say protesting, demonstrating, trying to bring awareness to something with his fist up. And of course, the NFL has to do better with backing these players. And that'll be an ongoing battle. And you might lose some fans as a player when you do this, but you have to consider, are you okay with losing that fan? I think if a fan gets that upset about talking about equality, maybe you didn't want that fan. And maybe they don't love football because the product has changed zero. I mean, what we're talking about is demonstrating before the whistle ever blows. And you have to really strain to pay attention to it if it weren't for cable news trying to just hammer this thing home.
Chris, what do you miss about being an NFL player?
I miss, besides my teammates, although I found out that the phone works just as well, and we don't have to sit in meetings all night. I hated sitting in meetings, and we spent so many good times as brothers, like on the field, in the monotony of the meetings. I miss the hotel Saturday night. I mean, some guys would say, "Who wants to stay at a hotel?" I would laugh and joke and watch football and talk about the game tomorrow with my best friends. Me, Kelsey, Camu, JP. I mean, Selleck, guys like that. We would stay up at those tables till 11 o'clock at night at that Marriott or whatever it was down by the airport. And at some point I'd be like, damn, we got to go to bed. Like, we're approaching 8 hours till the alarm goes off, like, and we're going to play a football game, right? And we're up eating ice cream because we love hanging out with each other. So I miss that. And I miss game day. I miss, like, and maybe that's because I know I feel good, like, physically, and I walked away fresh, but, like, I miss the big plays, the third downs, the opportunities to be clutch. And that will never leave me. But I'm pretty at peace with being retired.
Do you hear the crowd ever still in your ears? The roar of the crowd? NFC Championship game against Minnesota?
Oh, that night, I got chills thinking about it. That's one that, you have some moments in your career and in life that you just, the whole purpose of life, I think, is just these flashes. And it's the same thing with football. And you bust your ass for years, 11 years for me, and way before that as a college player and a high school player. And what you get out of it, besides the money, and you're very blessed to play, but the thing that's really fulfilling, because I had money before I came to Philly and New England, and let me tell you, it wasn't fulfilling alone to have money. Like, are those moments, like hearing, them play Meek Mill in the warm-up, that in my mind's eye, seeing Corey Clement and LeGarrette bounce around in that end zone, and just that feeling of, like, nobody's beating us today. That's something that will never leave me. So, yeah, I get that a lot.
Last one, Chris. Very difficult circumstances here in 2020. There's a pandemic. The teams really are taking all these extreme precautions to get through the season here. Eagles open the season 0-1. I mean, your thoughts on everything happening with the Philadelphia Eagles and the challenges for a player in this environment?
Well, I believe in the Eagles as far as being responsible. I think they have some leadership on that team. Doug's a great coach, and he's a guy who can relate to his players. And I think that when a Doug Pederson gets up there and asks you, hey, maybe we don't go to a bar this week when the game ends. Maybe you stay home. Maybe you put this mission first because it's the best thing for society and keeping everybody safe, and it's the best thing for this team. I think that the players have done great. 3,600 positive tests or negative tests going into week one is no small feat, especially because I was sitting there thinking the NFL never pulled this off. The NBA is doing it right, et cetera, et cetera. They should be proud. Now, the Eagles, I think they have a high ceiling this year, believe it or not. I really do. But they also have a floor that's a little lower because of injuries. And again, we're kind of limping in the season. I think if that entire O-line's healthy, this team is scary out of the gate. What I think is going to happen, I think they slowly stabilize up front. I think they get Miles back. I think the guys get in rhythm. And as the schedule softens up on the back half of the year, and I'm not conceding the first 8, but I think you play 5-6 playoff teams or something like that in the first half of the season. As the Cowboys start to play their tougher stretch in the second half of the season, that's where we peak. And that would be my message if I were in that locker room, is like, guys, this is going to be a grind in the beginning. But week 8, if we can be at 500 or better, second half of the season, we're going to run this thing. And that should be the mindset.
I love it, Chris. Thanks so much. Chris Long, our Microsoft Teams Eagles Alumni of the Week. Great seeing you, great hearing from you, and I know we'll be in touch over the years here. And great luck with the Chris Long Foundation. If fans want to get involved in that, Chris, how do they do that?
Well, I think the main thing you check out is waterboys.org and Chris Long Foundation as well, the website too. So check it out. And really, again, I appreciate Philly because everything we've done, you guys have just taken us to the next level. So I love y'all. I appreciate you.
Well, you helped us get to the next level, so thank you very much. And great seeing you. Have a great day, Chris. Thank you, man.
My pleasure. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Right. Let's finish this up with a message from Mad Money's Jim Cramer. Yeah, he's mad that the Eagles lost last week, but he isn't giving up.
I'm Jim Cramer, and welcome to my world.
You need to get in the game.
Firms are going to go out of business, and he's nuts. They're nuts. They know nothing.
I always like to say there's a bull market somewhere. And I promise
Mad money. You can't afford to miss it.
I've had it. I'm fed up. Once again, the fans turn against a team that we really love after one loss. You know how bad it is? I wore my underdog cufflinks today to work, the ones that I bought when, you know what, we won a Super Bowl. People might not remember that. We won a Super Bowl. And we won a Super Bowl with the Coach Pederson. And by the way, also Howie Roseman. So I think that we have to start thinking, what the heck? Can we just say, you know what, when Miles Sanders comes back, which he will be, okay, so something we will have that running game that we love so much. When we start seeing some of return of the defense, some people have been hurt. Not everybody's going to come back yet. But we have an injury report that Dave Spadero put out this morning that I think says it all. We are going to have Lane Johnson back. Now, Lane Johnson, let's remember he's all-pro. repeated. Derek Barnett has not been able to really been given a chance to be as great as he is because he's hurt. So I put those three together and I say, shame on you, you Philadelphia doubters who immediately say that your team's no good. I think this team is excellent. And I know, yes, now it's the vaunted Rams. I say take no prisoners. I cannot wait till the game. I'm loading up my fantasy team with Eagles. Why not? Because we're a great club. And in all seriousness, no joshing. If you're someone who is dumping on the Eagles right now, you should be ashamed of yourself. We're Philadelphians. They're our team. Show some pride. Go Birds.
And that will do it for this episode of the Eagles Insider Podcast presented by Lincoln Financial Group. Our Tailgate Edition comes your way every Friday, so we hope you enjoy it and kicks off your weekend the right way. I'm Insider Dave Spadaro. I want to thank Peter Kelly and Ray Doyle for all of their work. I want to thank all of you for joining us each and every week. And if you have a chance to drop a little 5-star review, we always appreciate it. Big one for the Eagles on Sunday, trying to get into the win column against a very good Los Angeles Rams team. Eagles must play a full 60 minutes of good football to win this one at Lincoln Financial Field. Make sure you're with me post-game on Sunday evening as I recap the Eagles-Rams game with some analysis from the radio booth, Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, and fly, Eagles, fly.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
We want you to know about all the podcasts in the Eagles network of podcasts. So make sure you tune in to not only this Eagles Insider podcast 3 times a week, but make sure you subscribe and listen to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, our Journey to the Draft podcast Tuesday and Thursday, and our Eagles Update podcasts, which give you the news in a flash, Monday through Saturday throughout this 2020 season. Sign up, subscribe, and listen to our Eagles network of podcasts.